Hi, I'm Amy Hamilton, and I teach at Sleepy Hill Middle School. And I have been teaching here for over 27 years as of this month, well, as of the beginning of the school year. And I've been successfully teaching Solidworks to students since 2009 and started testing students for the CSWA in 2012. So I've been doing this for a while.
Maybe you can share your presentation.
Yep, that's next.
Thank you.
Okay. Can everybody see this now?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All right. So basically, my goal has always been to make sure that students can be successful within SolidWorks, along with other things. So what I'm going to be looking at with you today is basically how do you work with SolidWorks in your classroom to inspire students, to have them push further into their engineering lessons in your classroom so they can gain more insight. And part of it is project-based lessons. In the 6th grade to the 7th grade, because I teach middle school, those of you who are from other places in the country, middle school runs from about 11 years old to 13, 14 years old, depending on the school systems, because some of them have junior highs and then the age difference changes again. But with me, with the 6th graders, they come in, and one of the things that I actually do with them for the very first project with SolidWorks at Christmas time and the holidays is to actually make snowflakes. So making snowflakes is about the only way the kids see snow in the state of Florida. We make snowflakes for the holidays. So basically that was really good because it teaches the kids really simple things. What is a thin feature and how do I make a revolved pattern? And it's the same step over and over again. So it's the same tool that they're using. So it helps them out. 7th grade, I start dropping them a little bit more. One of the projects that we do is our solar car project. And the solar car project literally is building their chassis, and I'll be showing that in a little bit later. I forgot to talk about the SolidWorks for Kids app for 6th grade. We're working with that right now, and they're learning sculpting techniques and tools with the SolidWorks for Kids app. 7th grade, we're working right now with Cuda Country, and Cuda Country is a fantastic website, and that I'm going to be showing you, but we work with projects from Cuda Country. And 8th grade is my high school applied engineering classes. So those kids are on an accelerated track, being that they're basically in SolidWorks from almost day one with me, right up until we leave at the end of the year. So almost everything in the 8th grade is geared for SolidWorks. So how do we engage students? How do we capture their attention? What programs and websites do I use for success in my classroom? How are those projects made into projects? The SolidWorks for Kids app, how do I use that in my classroom? And of course, engineering projects and some of the engineering projects I do. And last of all, but not least, is how do I take young students and prepare them for the Certified SolidWorks Associate exam and get them ready to take that test and pass that test. So when we're talking about engaging students, I want to make sure that they have a good understanding of just some of the basic tools in SolidWorks that they start working with. I find that if I do a video for the students, and I'm hoping this will play, it may or may not. And I don't know.
Good morning. Today we're going to do
and this is my voice.
So we're going to come up here and select new, make sure pot is selected and okay. In our lower corner, we want to make sure we select, hitting the up arrow, IPS. And then we're going to come to front plane. We're going to use our mouse and we're going to right click, use the right mouse button and click and select new sketch from the bar above it. Then we're going to come to the top and select a circle, select our origin, create a circle, right click again, and come over here to the smart dimension icon. Click on the circle and make it 0.50, which is a ½ inch. We'll then select a line, come to our origin, bring it straight up so it's vertical. Right mouse click and hit the line, bring it out and make it for 1.5 inches. Good morning.
So I'm not going to play the whole thing, but anybody who's interested in this instructional video, it's about 10 minutes long. And if you want the video, please put your name and email in the chat. You can also reach out to me. I'll send you I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And if you want this instructional video for the snowflake, all you have to do is please reach out to me and I will gladly send you that file. It's 10 minutes. And again, if you notice, I'm talking to the students about the tools that they're going to select and how you're going to select. Those of you who might be teachers in the classroom are looking and seeing me doing mouse clicks, and I start talking about S key shortcuts, and I start teaching my kids keyboard and mouse shortcuts right from the very beginning. I find that if we get them started with those shortcuts earlier, it just makes it easier for them. I never hold the student's hand and say, oh, you have to do it my way, because we know that in Solidworks, there are multiple ways to solve the problems. So I kind of let the students pick what's right for them as they go along. And sometimes they find out all on their own that maybe some of the stuff I've shown is better than what they've been doing. So again, my goal is to show them techniques, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be a technique that they're personally going to use. Like, my friends all love mouse gestures, and I personally don't like mouse gestures. So I don't teach the students mouse gestures because it's not something I like to use. It's one of those personal preference things. Let's see if I can get this to go to the next screen. We're being naughty today. So websites, Cuda Country. I cannot tell you how much fun Cuda Country is. The gentleman who does this has been doing this for a very long time. And when you open up Cuda Country, literally, you cannot believe the amount of, and I'm going to try to pull this and hopefully this changes view. But if you look in Cuda Country, literally, there are tons of project based that he does. The students literally open up and it gives a PDF. It shows the students what they're going to look like when they're done. And if you work with that, it definitely gives you tons of information that you can use with students. I find that I could give them one of those tutorials that are in the book, especially like if I'm going to be absent for a couple days, but I want the students to be able to work in Solidworks. A lot of times I might give them one of those projects to do because it gives them new tools and techniques that I might not normally teach in my classroom setting. So it allows them to learn new things. So again, if you're not strong in one thing, find someone who's strong with it, use what they have, build your skills while you're teaching your students. And in the end, both of you have learned a new skill that you might not have known from the beginning. As you can see, I have the little hoverboards, and you got it on screen, and I'm going to put it up to the camera. But again, the students make it. And since I don't have fancy multi-filament PLA printers, I give the kids colored oil-based colored water markers or paint markers, and they work really well at coloring your PLA. So if you're one of those labs that has PLA, this is a great way to extend it. Again, we do a lot of 3D printing. So a lot of the projects they make ties to 3D printing. Printing. Now, the other one that I love is my Solidworks. My Solidworks is really cool because here's the thing. A lot of people like, I need training videos. I need a video for this class, that class. And here's the thing. You can use this, and there are literally hundreds of training videos for all kinds of things. So if you're trying to teach your students some kind of basic lesson, you can actually work within SolidWorks, with my SolidWorks, to pull up all of those lovely lessons. So I'm going to pull mine up. So as you can see, if I come in here and click, this will actually show me lessons that I've gone through, lessons that I've learned, lessons that I can relate back to. And the cool thing is I can sort them by the SolidWorks version that I have in my classroom. So if you're working with 2024 and not 2026, you could go back in and look at these lessons, because some of the things they're teaching, there are new features in SolidWorks that help it make it easier. So some of those lessons change slightly. You can even choose what you want. So I can look, and this breaks it down into certifications. There is an additive manufacturing certification for SolidWorks. So that's one that my students do. Again, they do the lessons, they take the certification exam. There's great ones for the CSWA also. But again, it is my SolidWorks. It is free. And I use this because I'm not paying, I don't want to pay somebody for content. I'm one of those poor teachers, and I don't know any teacher that is really extremely rich that can afford to pay for, or their county can afford to pay for, a lot of instructional stuff. So I'm using with SolidWorks and Dassault Systems literally has created thousands of pages of content and videos for free. Use the sources that are there. The other one is this one, and I don't know if it's going to open. It may or may not open. Yeah. And this one was created specifically, if it does open, was created specifically with step-by-step lessons. I'm going to pull it off to the side. Hopefully it'll open here while we're waiting. Sometimes it doesn't play nice. Try it again. I'll wait to see. But with that one, you can see this is the home page, and it literally has either it has step-by-step directions that the student can go step by step. If they're not understanding, it literally has videos that are showing the step, and your student can even go as far as going to the whole thing that is doing step by step, which I find super cool, because if they're finding that that happening, they can watch the video if they're not understanding. The cool thing is at the end of each one of those, there is a quiz or some type of test that is given, asking the questions, what did you do? Again, so kind of keep that in mind. And of course, it's not opening it. And for those of you who are using X Design, there is also one specifically made for X Design with X Design's tools. So again, this is, I put my kids in this at the beginning of the year because it really does help show the tools and the thought process. And the biggest thing with the students is, how do I read a drawing? What's the thought process to get from point A to point B? The book, which I officially, in my class, I tell the kids, this is the Bible for SolidWorks. This is the book that we use. I put my kids in like right at the beginning. And the reason why I recommend this book, and I've been recommending this book since like 2013, is because it literally gives the thought process. It explains the real technical terms so wonderfully that the kids they might be seeing all these big words, all these big terms, but guess what? It explains them. And then the way the kids can see it. And when it comes to the step-by-step directions that are specifically in chapter 3, I know that if my students can do like the first 16 drawings in chapter 3, they have learned almost every single technique that they need in order to pass the CSWA, but also learning a thought process on how do I design this? How do I think through the steps? Because it specifically walks them through each step. It has the pictures for each step so the students can see it. So if there's one thing I can highly recommend, go to SDC Publications, check out that book. You can even ask them to have a trial copy, and they will give you a link to a digital trial copy so you can look at it yourself. I have, I don't know how many copies of the soft cover book, the actual book that I have in my classroom that literally have tags and flags all over it so kids can flip through and look, because I have some students that don't like to look at the screen for directions. So that's why that happens. I left this chat. I got a question in the chat that I just saw, and I really want to answer this. Are you concerned with students sharing their designs with other students? I am always concerned of that, but Ms. Hamilton has the one thing that they can't copy. I'm one monitoring them as I'm working. I'm walking around the classroom with them. I have a clipboard with me, and I literally have the drawings they're supposed to be doing so I can grade them on the fly. When the student opens up they have to open up their drawing, and I grade their drawings on screen. I never have them submit drawings to me because that's when they share it with friends. It's much harder if I'm looking at their drawings. So that's one of the ways that I kind of combat copying other students' work. And it works because they know I'm watching. These are some pictures, screen grabs that pictures I took. Right now, my students, our 8th grade engineering students, are working on catapults. It actually is this year's state Skills USA competition for additive manufacturing, and they have to actually design all the parts for the catapult in Solidworks or some type of additive, some type of program. My kids, of course, are using Solidworks. So as you can see, I'm showing you some pictures of some of the stuff that they've started to design. And again, you're going to see this base piece that they keep designing over and over again. Then we have other things. One thing that I do at the end of the year is when they have finished their projects, I challenge them to, hey, make something that you would like to make. And I've had students who have gone to the CNC, Titans of CNC, and they have this chess piece that the students actually machine with a CNC machine. But my students actually look at the blueprint drawings and the drawings that the students are going to be working with, and they use that to create the chess pieces. And I've had students that have replicated these pretty well. These are older prints, so the line quality is not so great because my machines back then weren't as good as what they could be. But this is a really great challenge for students, is doing that. Then we have prototyping. As you can see, the students have been prototyping their parts. You could see, oh, well, when we're doing this piece broke. You could see here, I don't know if you could see it, but the shaft, they put a hole in it that was too big, so it broke on the axle. Using various, these are bow arms that they did for their tension spring. Fall projects. My kids in 8th grade fall project, one of the things they do, and for those of you who are trying to keep students on pace, I do these as little carrots. If you finish all of these drawings by X date and they're graded, you get to do this special project. So in October, it is pumpkins, and they get to make little jack-o'-lanterns, and they learn how to do jack-o'-lanterns. So here's another one that was done. And when this one lights up, because they've done this wall so thin, it actually creates that reflection like an actual pumpkin, like the pumpkins that some people do. Again, more pictures of our catapult that was worked on. Here we have tops. The kids this year, again, another thing, we taught revolves, and to teach revolves, we worked with tops, and the students made tops, and then we battled with the tops, and they did head-to-head battles and see who can knock whose top out of a ring. It worked out really well, and they really loved doing the project. Now, some of you might say, okay, that's a gingerbread house. That's nothing that was created in Solidworks. But yes, this year, reverse engineering, my students were given calipers or verniers, and they were given the parts to construct a gingerbread house. And they actually had to measure the graham crackers and measure the gumdrops and the candy canes. And then they had to create the parts in Solidworks and create an assembly. So once they had their assembly and the assembly was turned in, they got the parts to make their gingerbread house. So the last week before we went on our winter break, the students with their plans, armed with all kinds of goodies. Of course, you're constantly telling the kids, don't eat the candy. It's for your house, not your mouth. It's a common term I was saying, but they get to build their little gingerbread house that they created from the ground up. And then they create these little gingerbread houses. And this is Joyce, one of my little rock stars. And her kids were like, why is her house so neat? And why does it look so great? That's because Joyce takes her time. Again, just other lessons. Here we can see some other things. One of the Skills USA challenges a few years ago was to create a medal that showed your home state. And you can see my students chose Florida. Here they used extrude cuts, extrude bosses. They used a lot of different techniques in order to create it. I had another student who was very into aerospace. And what did they do? They decided to create a plane. And they literally created the entire jet on screen using pictures of it from various angles, and went in and started developing and created that plane. Took him about 3 weeks to do it from start to finish, I think, because he was working off and on it. And then, why would you prototype in your class? One of the projects we do is an egg drop, where they have to print part of the container that holds the egg, because we don't do a traditional drop where we go high and drop. We actually put it on an arm and swing it so it swings and hits a wall. My students, when they were doing that, they made the hole in the opening was just way too big for the egg. And even though we had a model of an egg, they didn't take the measurements correctly, hence the reason why we prototype. Again, our hoverboards, my mini classroom that the 2 students participated, this was a community swagging built. And my students helped build it, and then I got to bring it to 3D World, and we got to put it in 3D World, which is a lot of fun. CSWA and its benefits. I cannot stress it enough. If you are teaching, especially if you're in engineering teaching engineering courses and using Solidworks, this is something you should be doing. Your students should be earning their certification on their CSWA. And 1, it makes it more employable. 2, most college professors come with the understanding or the thought process, your child already knows how to use a 3D modeling software. And about 90% of the kids going into high school engineering programs, college programs, aren't getting that training before they go. So they're behind. If we look here, these are just some of the students who've passed. I have over 200 students who have passed the exam since I've started, and we're talking 13 and 14-year-old students. Then, of course, this is a picture of these lovely kids. It was the last really, really big cohort of kids that I had passed previous to COVID. So this was my last big group. But they're amazing kids. Some of them are pilots now. Some of them are in engineering programs. So I'm really excited about their trajectory and path. Inspiration. If you're looking for inspiration, I cannot stress joining a SWGN community where you live. If you don't know about SWGN, which is the Solidworks User Network Group, every one of them have organizations. We do have an EDU SWGN if you chose to join. I have a combination of EDU and professional. You can definitely join my my SWGN group. And again, I will, again, all you have to do is go in and literally type. I don't see, it still hasn't opened on my end. You see this, right? If you go in literally and just type in literally SWGN, it will open up the SWGN community, and you can come in here and, you know, become a member. It is absolutely free. And they literally have hundreds of events that go on across the world, multiple time zones. Some of them are virtual, some of them are hybrid, some of them are in person. But if there's a training that I really want to do, I look, oh, this is a virtual training. I can join that virtual training, sign up and join the virtual training. And the cool thing is, even if you don't attend, when it's finished, if you've registered for that event, usually the SWGN leaders post the video after so you can watch the video after. The other thing is if you are doing SolidWorks as a teacher, I highly suggest going to 3D World. One of the best places for me to connect and learn from others and be inspired for the next great project in my classroom is literally 3D World that happens in February. This year it's the 14th, 15th, and 16th, I think, and it will be in Nashville. So if you're in the Nashville area, this is a great opportunity to sign up and spend a little money. Educators do get a discount, so that is absolutely fantastic. I don't know where I am at time, ladies. Are we getting close?
We are at 11:40, Amy.
So we're pretty much into Q&A time, yes?
Yes, we are.
I am actually right now at the thank you and have a great day slide. So I think I did pretty good. So I do see a couple questions. I'm seeing attendees sending links. I will definitely share that. Anybody who shared their email, I will make sure that you get that video of the snowflake, because again, it's a really cute little video, and I think it's like 9 or 10 minutes long. One of the other people,
Amy, this is Marie, your host. I'm so excited to have you on this call, and I want to tell the audience, as Amy mentioned, she is a SWGN leader, and last week she had the most amazing presentation on 3D manufacturing. She was in Hawaii with a group of teachers and was video webinar conferencing.
Live feed,
live feed with a most amazing gentleman who's also a user group leader in London. His name was Kirby Downing. And between the two of them, they put on this presentation to help not only educators, but there was a lot of commercial SolidWorks users on that call too, as Kirby talked about all the different types of 3D printing. And what was really fantastic is Kirby has a really fun job. And he makes all these prototype parts for the movies and video games. So from a student's perspective, or anybody's perspective, I was just mesmerized. And the fact that Amy had the group of teachers, she's talking to somebody in London, putting it all together, Amy, it was really inspirational, really well done.
It
And
was a
maybe,
lot of fun.
yeah, maybe you can also include that link
Yep.
because I learned so much.
Yeah, it's I know I posted in LinkedIn. Those of you who are in LinkedIn, I'll see if I can pull it up real quick because I have to pull up the. I'm
And
trying to
also,
see.
I want to give credit to the teacher of Cuda Country. I love Cuda
Oh, I
Country.
love him.
His name is Patrick Haley. I've known him for almost 20 years. You know, if the design to manufacturing piece, like in my opinion, I taught for 10 years, right? Everybody can make a model. So what? Everybody, it's fantasy. But to understand why that model has to be designed the way it is so that it can be manufactured, and when the student holds that prototype in their hands, there's nothing like it. Right? Right,
No.
Amy?
I can't find the link. I'll anybody who wants the link to that, I can't find it right now. Of course, I'm looking for it and I can't find it. If you go to LinkedIn, though, you can find it in LinkedIn. I'm trying to find I can't even find my own LinkedIn profile where I'm batting 1,000. And those of you who don't know about jet lag, I never thought I would say, oh my God, I have friends that I can't, my friends from Hawaii who I went to visit. I'm like, um, I can't imagine how you feel when you get back. Now I actually do know how they feel when they get back because I'm still part of my brain is still in island time. The shift hasn't gone, and I know Valerie, you probably deal with the same thing going, coming
Sure.
back from world.
I put your LinkedIn profile link on the chat.
Okay,
And
awesome.
Amy, could you talk? Laura asked a question about
About the as Cat,
elementary.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Solidworks app for kids, and again, that's free. And if you do, type in Solidworks apps for kids, that literally will allow you to, that allows you to set up a classroom. So there is actually a classroom portion, and it gives the students, it actually lets you, and I think I can pull my side up here. Maybe it will show. When you look, I have a classroom set up, and when I go into a classroom, I could come in and see all of the projects my students have made. I'm hoping I'm sharing my screen still.
Yes.
So you can see the different projects, and the cool things is they've got all kinds of tutorials and YouTube videos that literally work with SolidWorks app for kids. So the cool thing is it has a classroom portion. So when my students finish a project, they share it with the class, so the entire class can see the projects. And then what the cool thing is that when the kids get finished, I can go in and and this isn't fully weeded yet. I could go in and do an STL, and I can print their little thing from SolidWorks for apps for kids. And this is absolutely free. And it's a great way to teach your kids sculpting. Okay. This is, and the kids look at it and they go, oh, it's kind of like Minecraft. But it allows them to make these cute little teeny tiny curves.
And it is
And
web-based, no
yes.
need of, you just can open it with your
Yep.
mobile, with an iPad, with a simple laptop.
Right. And that's the cool thing about these. They can do it on anything. The other one software that you could do anywhere is also, of course, our 3D Experience Cloud software that Dassault makes. And that also is excellent. And there are also great educational lessons with project-based lessons that your students can do. So the one thing I can say with SolidWorks is that you really need to make sure that you're offering them not just, doing the pages from the book, but giving them something to do hands-on. I literally will take, for example, one of the practice for the CSWA is this lovely piece. And this is only the first part. So a lot of times if a kid's struggling seeing it, I actually create it and 3D print it. That way they can hold it in their hand, because the more they can hold things in their hands, the more they can manipulate things, the easier it is for them to see it and practice it. Again, learning SolidWorks, I know I saw a question about SolidWorks, and here is the thing. I learned how to use SolidWorks basically by flying by the seat of my pants. I had a couple little books I looked at out on the web, although back in 2009 when I started, it was less out there, although I might not have known where to find it. So for me, learning SolidWorks was not that difficult because I had some resources to work with. Getting kids ready for the CSWA, though, I needed other people to help me, to point me in the right direction. Marie happens to be one of those people who pointed me in the right direction and literally pointed me to that wonderful book. And I can't not highly recommend that book enough. I can't recommend also, make sure that you're reaching out to those communities. Get involved with SWGN. Those people in those communities, in the forums that they have. If you have a question as an educator, you're getting some kind of weird pop-up message when the kids are working, take a screen capture, take a picture of it, send it in. I can guarantee you one of what I love to call, and I'm part of the herd of nerds, we just love the software. We love to think in that technical world. We love to pull things apart, make things, build things. And I can guarantee you someone there has seen it and is going to help you. So that's one of the really cool things. And those of you who've asked for me to share, I'm hoping Marie and Valerie have got all of those emails, because I will make sure, hopefully by the end of the day, you'll see an email from me. Again, I did put my email in the chat. I think I did put my email in the chat.
Yes, you did.
I did. If I did, and if you don't get it, send me an email saying, hey, can you share with me? And I'll be more than happy to share my little video of how to make a snowflake. Again, it's easy and it doesn't take students very long to learn it. Are there any questions that I did not hit?
I would like to come back to a question, an interesting question from Colin Henley, saying, I have used SketchUp for years, but I've never used SolidWorks. Is SolidWorks comparable to SketchUp? Is it easier or more difficult to learn? Marie answers this question, but I would like to add something very important, is that SolidWorks is the 3D CAD standard software in the industry worldwide. And that gives your students a real advantage in the job market. So right. If you want to come back to that, Amy, that would be good, because it is your point of view and it is important.
My point of view is SketchUp is great for someone who probably doesn't have access to SolidWorks, that they can't use because they don't have a license. But here is what I'm going to say. SketchUp is great, but it's not going to give you a lot of the flexibility to be able to do some really interesting modeling. I have used it before. I found it that I get very frustrated with it because I'm used to an industry grade software. I mean, I've worked with the other company, and the other company, because there's lots of them out there. And trust me, I've used a lot of them. SketchUp I used a long time ago. But as Valerie said, and you're going to hear, if you want your students to be successful and to be able to move on into the world of engineering, being it coming out of a 4-year high school program and have enough talent because they have a CSWA, a P, a professional. Some students even leave with the expert, which is really unusual, but some do. Those students are prepared for the world of work. Those kids are 100% much further ahead in that perspective. I was talking to a gentleman from Emerson, and we were talking about students, college students, interviewing for a CAD engineering internship. There was only one slot available. There were 10 candidates that were all good candidates. But when it came down to the very bottom of choosing that candidate that got the job, there were 3 things that stood out. One, they had their Solidworks certifications. They had their A and they had a P. They had both 2 certifications in Solidworks. And that proves that those people have over 100 plus hours of use and they're proficient with the use of the software. The other is that they were tied to a career service technology organization. That one happened to be Skills USA, which warmed my little heart because they had those valuable soft skills that are taught in Skills USA, those soft skills to be able to make eye contact, to have a conversation with someone, that good firm handshake, all of those things matter. And the other thing is that they also were able to show that they had been working successfully with SolidWorks. That student actually had gone into one of the services where you can look for jobs, and they had been hired for a couple sources to do small CAD jobs, and they actually had proof that they were actually working. So if that's what you're doing, with SketchUp, great. But if you're not, that's one of the things that I would strongly suggest is seriously looking at it. Because if you're preparing the kids for the workforce or even college, this software is where you want to be. That's my personal opinion.
Thank you very much, Amy, for your time, and Marie for being our guest. So I put a lot of useful links on the chat window. Please copy them and keep them, save them. They will be really helpful for you. And follow us on our LinkedIn and Instagram EDU account, SolidWorks EDU and 3DX EDU. You will easily find us in order to be tuned for upcoming other ones. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
No
Bye-bye.
problem. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.